Alrighty, folks, it is the three amigos, and yes, Dion is still in Europe. I believe he's in Portugal. Looks like he's by some water, if I'm looking over his shoulder correctly. Dion, how you doing?
I'm doing marvelous. The actual beaches here are amazing. The cliffs are amazing. Food is great. The people suck.
Just so you know, leave comments on Dion's channel, not mine. For that.
Not the Portuguese, like all the people.
Just everybody. Everybody sucks. Yeah. Okay. I got it. So there we go. Matt, how are you?
I'm doing great. Excited for Dion to come home.
Yeah, me too. So guys, I don't know if you know this, but I'm hosting an event Sunday where my intention is to kind of tap into my Rolodex and then kind of mash the one rental at a time family together on key topics. We just did the Legends of Real Estate with the ladies right on April, all of those last Sunday. This week's going to be with top real estate agents. So Beth Traverso, who both of you know, I believe, will be a part of it. She's actually kicking us off, top 1% agent in the country. Jason Pritchard, my Sunday guest, he's the best in my market, but his story is cool because he starts as a W-2 employee who burns the bridges, right? Dion, his story is in the book that you narrated, 15 Conversations with Real Estate Millionaires. And then we're going to bring Ty in, who's the OG on my channel. He's actually been doing this 30 years. So I want to just highlight how important are agent relationships in your business? What are things you look for when you talk to a new agent? Because I don't think a lot of people realize that agents, I think, are going to be more important, not less, in the market we're going into. I think a lot of people have just thought agents put a sign in the ground and that's it, which may have been true for 2 years. But I think agent relationships and knowing how to work with them is more important, the next two, than the last two. So let's talk about that. Dion, you are in Europe, so we'll let you go first because you're kind of in the future.
I can actually take a contrarian view before Matt talks.
Oh, nice.
So Matt often talks about the relationship with lenders and how he does, he still shops his rates to make sure that he's getting competitive information from his lenders. With me, with agents, I love that you would have Beth and these agents on that are also investors, right? The problem that a lot of people make, the mistake that a lot of people do is, they have a cousin or a sister or somebody who's an agent and they think, okay, they work in real estate, that's going to be my mentor. Well, if they're not in your market, in your asset class, that's probably a poor choice for a mentor. But if you have an agent that has, experience investing, that's probably a better knowledge base to go to. Millennial Mike said it best, so I'm gonna make sure I give him credit. Agents are like girlfriends. You want to have as many as you can as long as they know about each other.
Say that again. You want to have as many as you can as long as they know about each other?
Correct.
Okay. All right.
And so I have auto searches set up by at least 3.
Yep. And
when it comes time to work with an agent, I'm not really worried about their level of expertise as long as they have a team that backs them up. So that there is somebody that's been doing it a while whose information will, they'll be looking over the shoulder, making sure everything is done correctly. The last agent that I worked with when I started, I've done 4 deals with him now, but the first one, I think he'd had his license for about a month.
Oh, wow.
So brand new agent. And his team is what made me keep working with him. And it went so well where, he's years into it now and he's got a lot of experience and he's got, I think, 9 rentals himself, but he was just starting out. So a lot of people get hung up on asking your agent, are you also an investor? And that doesn't matter to me unless I was looking for a mentor. If I'm looking for a realtor, what I want is access to the MLS with an agent who will set up the search based on my criteria, a little looser so that I can filter it down a little more. And then an agent who understands that as an investor, I'm going to make offers based on numbers. Right. And based on days on market. And so I might make a low offer if it's been on for a while and a brand new agent or an agent who only works with home buyers might not be comfortable with that. So I'm going to make sure the agent is comfortable doing things the way that I want to. That's more important to me than their experience. I'm the one making the offers. I'm the one doing the negotiating. I want to make sure that the agent, if they're new, belongs to a team that has a good backup for them though.
I like that. Matt, what do you think working with agents?
I mean, I hate it, generally speaking. I like my particular agents. They've been vetted. They've been gone through the process. I basically fired one because They just weren't good. They weren't good enough. They blew too many deals. And at the end of the day, I still win deals with the 7th best price or the 9th best price. And so I think that anybody that's, getting into this, I think that there's really 2 main criteria that I look for is I need to make sure that that person is taken seriously and gets heard by the listing agent. I have to know that they have some command to them, because otherwise I'm just another number on a piece of paper with some ideas about how I want to propose it. And so being sales guys, the 2 of us, right, is I could have a really good boss. So I'm going to say Dion's wrong. I'm going to have a really good boss, and he might be really good at negotiating deals, but daddy isn't always available to jump on the call and actually in the moment. And so what it does is it's not impossible to win the way that Dion does it. Obviously, I believe that when you communicate through email, obviously that makes him more of a level playing ground. I want the guy that can have the phone call, or the girl that can have the phone call and says, hey, listen, so we're going to close 17 out of 17 deals in the last 16 months. We've closed. We're going to close. We're not going to sit there and nitpick you. The really thing that we're really concerned about in the inspection is something major, like 5,000 plus, something big. Really, truly carry the kind of message the way that I carry my message and why I win deals in 7th place. So for me, I want to make sure that the agent's heard and understand, is a great negotiator themselves. And then the second piece to it is the area where Dion and I agree is I never, ever, 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 never, never, ever would use just somebody that I know.
Yeah.
Ever. Because I buy properties from those agents and I pay less than I should, because hopefully that relationship to you was worth thousands of dollars because you let this person list it because you sort of kind of know them. And I've seen that on properties from 200K to 20 million. And it was just a relationship that existed. Shows you how important relationships and your network being your net worth are. Somebody that got that listing, that was the biggest listing they've ever had in their entire life. And they had no reason. They had absolutely no reason to get that listing other than a relationship they had with that person, even though they're probably completely ill-equipped. 80% of agents should quit today. 15% should spend a little bit more time in the classroom, better understand their craft, and 5% are really good.
Yeah. I think there's a couple of things that I kind of just want to echo on top of all of this is I also want to put I want to pretend to be an agent for a moment. And for being an agent for a moment, you have to realize that every real estate event or conference or whatever, all these young whippersnapper investors come out and they say, hey, I'm an investor. I'm going to dominate. I'm going to close. The 3 of us have a track record that we can point at.
That's right.
A lot of the phone calls that come to agents, there are a lot of investors that just say, and I hate this statement, just get me a deal. I just want a deal. I mean, that's a recipe for disaster.
Of course.
But I really want to highlight that in the market that's coming up, I think agents, the ones that are good, to your point, whether it's 1, 5 or 10 or 20%, they're going to increasingly get deal flow. And, the good agents understand the seller's motivation. Sometimes it's price. In the market we just left, it's always price. The market that's coming up, it may not be price. It may be, hey, I need to stay here till the summer so my kids get out, but I got to sell it because I don't do this or I don't got to do that. Hey, I own it free and clear. I would rather, have some seller carryback or all those things. So I think really having that conversation, but you got to realize agents get a lot of investors that call them and just waste their time. So how does an agent who doesn't have our track record start that conversation? We'll go back to Dion first.
So I was a little sidetracked with what was going on in my head because I was thinking of the biggest mistake that investors make when they're starting out.
Okay, go ahead.
You'll actually see this question on Bigger Pockets on Facebook in the financial freedom chats. How do I negotiate down my agent's commission?
That's so stupid.
So there's 2 things that I do that have made it easier for me to find cash flowing deals on the MLS. One is I refer people to my agent because I want them to want to work with me. I try to get them as much work as possible. I'm not creating competition. I'm keeping that agent wanting me to be happy. So I'm going to bring them more work. And the second is I want to make sure they get their commission. If you need to negotiate down an agent's commission to make it a good deal, that's not a good deal.
Yeah, exactly.
And don't get so focused on this deal today is what matters. You are building a reputation that's going to last decades in a very small, close-knit community of investors and agents who all talk to each other. Even lenders end up knowing most of the same players. Yep. So I'm not saying that you should try to give a bigger commission than is normal, but you should make sure that they're doing the work to earn that commission. And it isn't on the deal that you closed. It's on the dozens or hundreds that they sent you, filtered questions for, with Matt's point, able to negotiate with sometimes just the tone in their voice when they're communicating with the listing agent on your behalf, make a huge difference. You want that agent to want to work with you. So that's the investor side saying, here's how to get them to work with me. When an agent approaches me, how they can start the conversation to make me want to work with them is when they ask questions.
Yes.
Don't tell me how long you've been doing it. Don't tell me how big your pipelines are. You don't know if the type of property I'm looking for is in your pipeline until you ask the right questions. Once you ask me the right questions, it's funny just to say this as a salesperson, I know that this is what they need to do. They need to find out what I need to hear and then see if they can tell that and still be honest. And so if they want to build that relationship, it starts from finding out what my needs are.
Yeah, definitely. In our speak, that means what's your buy box? What are you looking at? What all of those things. So that's a great stuff. What do you think of this, Matt? You got a new investor. You know, even let's pretend it's like Millennial Mike. You're going out of state, right, out of area in a new market where you know no one. I mean, what are some things that you as that agent or you as that individual could tell that agent to kind of build that relationship so you're not wasting their time?
Yeah, I think it's you want to know up front that they're not rolling their eyes every single time you say something, you know? So I think it's a matter of, it's the reverse offer strategy. I always turn the interview around. So I'm always asking them, okay, so do you do many multifamily deals? Okay. Do you do many deals, period? Cool. Yeah. Tell me about a deal that you did where you thought something really cool happened. You know, I'm interviewing them, but that's what I'm doing because I'm the customer. Right. And so for them, you know, it's like, oh, well, I did 60 deals last year. Did you do 60 deals or did your team? Oh, okay. Your team did. All right. How many did you do? Great. Tell me how many small multifamily. Cool. How many from estates? You know, and I start to build out my understanding of them as a broker. So, I mean, if I'm an agent, I want to be, like Dion said, listen, asking questions. That's the whole purpose of the reverse offer strategy. If you're sitting there telling ain't selling, and if you're sitting there telling me stuff, that ain't selling me. You're telling me ain't selling me. And so when I do the reverse offer strategy, this is why I kick so many agents' asses, is because I do the reverse offer strategy and none of them actually went to the actual representative of the owner and said, what are the three most important things to them? Is it price? I mean, do they need to hang out for their kids to get out of school? Are they hoarders and they could use a couple dumpsters? I've won deals because I provided $1,200 worth of dumpsters and a day of move out guys for another $800.
Yeah.
My offer was $10,000 less than the next offer. And it cost me $2,000. So exactly. That's where you also want somebody and that's where when I ask the question, what was one of the cool things that you've done on a deal recently to win it? Yeah. I want to know that they're all in, that they will do anything that they can legally to get me that deal.
Yeah. One of the things that I tell new investors to do is don't just call agents and pretend you're bigger than you are. I think agents sniff that out really quickly. But what I would tell you to do is I would call them and have a property or two in mind. And if it happens to be one of their listings, all the better. Right. I'm calling about 123 Main Street. I'm an investor in California, just trying to figure out, Gary, Indiana. I saw 123 Main Street. I got to have a couple of questions. I hear it's on the wrong side of the tracks. What do you think? I like threes better than twos. So you can differentiate yourself from the other, 90 phone calls that they get.
Well,
Right?
be prepared. Have financing taken care of. Understand what the general process is. Like, even if you haven't done it before, there's only about 1 billion videos out there on YouTube that you could watch to give you the exact walking experience of what it was like to buy that house. Yeah. You can ask questions about that process if you want, but it's like, so Jeff M hasn't bought a house before. Mm-hmm. Do you think he's pretty well prepared and having a good agent and being able to get a deal? I think he's going to be just fine.
So.
Right?
Yeah, I think so.
And he's never done it before. But as an agent, I would pay attention to him. He's got financing taken care of. He's got a process taken care of. Yes, he wants to do an inspection, but he's clearly been preparing himself. Mm-hmm. That's somebody that instantly any agent is going to gravitate towards because they don't have to do a whole lot of work. And a newer agent, if you're not giving them any of that, they're probably not a very good agent because they're not going to know how to navigate any of that stuff.
Yeah, I think what you'll see with whether it's Jeff M or other would-be homeowners or investors, it's not hard to differentiate yourself from the crowd.
Nope.
And sometimes it's only that extra 10% or that extra 5% that allows you to stand out, and then you get the lion's share of their time and attention. And more importantly, in the environment that's coming up, you get the phone call. Hey, Mike, I know you're looking for 4 2s. I just got a phone call. I think I might have one. That's what you want. You want to be one of the 2 or maybe 3 phone calls when those come through. So this is why Sunday's meeting is so important, because it's not hard to differentiate yourself, but it's also not hard to look like a moron. And I want to have this. I want to have agents tell investors what they need to do. So Dion, closing thoughts, and where can people find you?
I really like the idea of asking the agent questions on an existing deal. And I think a spin I would put on that is find a bad deal. Find a deal that has obvious red flags, present it to the agent and say, hey, I'm thinking of this property. What are your thoughts? Do they sell you on it, or do they caution you? I think that would be a good litmus test. And you can find me right here on YouTube, Dion Talk Financial Freedom, or get in touch with me personally at diontalk.com.
There you go. And Matt, closing thoughts, and how can they find you?
Talk to any agent that you talk to about a reverse offer strategy. Know how it works. Know that they need to qualify how it works, and you will get your best deal. You will get your best deal with a reverse offer strategy. And that means that you won't get a bad deal, because if they come back and go price, okay, price it is. Now I need to just do it based on what my numbers work. And if they do, great. If they don't, then I need to walk away. I need to have discipline, but at least get agents you're going to work with disciplined in approaching the business differently than all your competition is. And you will likely get wins just from a different approach.
There you go. Where can they find you?
Lumberjack Landlord on Instagram, where we are posting many evictions and all the fun stories about it. And Lumberjack Landlord on YouTube and Sunday live streams.
Awesome. Thanks, buddy.